Hi, my name is Cameron. I interviewed the entrepreneur Caden Comadina. He is in the tech business industry and he was actually one of the co-founders of My Educator. His products and the company's products are books that are a little bit cheaper for students, so more targeted towards us actually as college students. The story of their business is they wanted to make something that was, that was good for students, but they said was beneficial and that wasn't necessarily something that could rip students off of like a university does. So they would create these books and have these authors, and they would actually put them at a cheaper price because they could get them directly from the source instead of having to go through multiple different companies and paying multiple different fees and stuff like that. They wanted to create something that was actually free in the beginning, but over time, one of the mistakes they made is they realized that they couldn't just rely on ads and stuff like that. They weren't able to just rely on something being free because someone was paying for it. So they ended up having to do a little bit cheaper version of the books, but they are very much cheaper than what you would find in another store. The management team was built in a way that they actually started with about 6 people, but they got down to about 4, and they realized that they really just needed a core, about 4 or 5 people that were really gonna put in the hours. The business grows pretty stably. It's not super fast, but it's very stable. And the stat of the business today is they're in multiple different universities and multiple different online universities and even in other countries. I asked Caden 3 questions. The first one I asked was what they did that set them apart, and he said something they did that set them apart was that the books that they were selling were cheaper than what they were competing against, and so that's something that really set them apart. The second question I asked was what you guys did that made a huge difference and what made you successful. And he says a key to success is to have the connections with people already in the industry rather than trying to break into the industry that you have never seen before. He said it was a lot easier to have people who were already professors at universities trying to create this company rather than coming from an outside perspective that wasn't even at all, into the industry at all. One other thing that I asked was what the keys to success were, and he said a couple things. He said to split up the adventure idea into 2 practical areas: creativity and practicality. It's okay that your idea isn't absolutely amazing, but you have to have a good revenue model. And so if you're gonna create something that's super unrealistic and something that you really need to pay for and then pretend it's gonna be free, it's not gonna work. It needs to be practical. And so instead of a free product, it was low cost. Like he said, to be creative, but also be practical and plan on how to monetize that creativity. When it comes to multiple businesses, he said that a lot of the businesses that they would find and that they had an example for, or I guess they were their idols, were they would have the idea man and the entrepreneur together because they needed someone who was able to execute and somebody who was able to come up with the ideas. He said another key was starting a business with a sustainable revenue model. And that was a mistake they made, is they didn't actually start that way, and they had to learn the hard way that that's really how you needed to start. I think the important concepts and stuff similar that I learned in this interview was that it was good to learn that you needed to be realistic, because sometimes I'm not like that. I will definitely apply these in my venture and that I will definitely make sure that my products and ideas are realistic. But yeah, I really enjoyed the meeting with him, and I hope you guys can learn a little bit from what I learned and what he talked about. Thank you so much.